What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. In today's video, we are going to be unboxing and trying on my November ice cream beauty box. Now, if you watched my haul video from last week, then you've already gotten a good sneak peek as to what's in this box, but we're still going to go over each product individually in a little bit more detail, and then we're going to create a look with each one of them. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Ice Cream Beauty Box, they are a monthly subscription service. So you're going to pay $25 and you'll get 5 to 7 full-size products in every single box, not samples or deluxe size samples, but full size products, and one of those is always going to be an eyeshadow palette. Now, as of late, they have been giving us a choice in an eyeshadow palette, so you can pick one of the two palettes that you have to choose from, or you can add on the second one for only $10, and that is such an incredible deal because these palettes that are in here retail for $35 a piece. So essentially, I paid for one of the palettes and they got everything else in here for free. So I do really recommend it if you're interested in both of the color stories, but if you're not interested in both, then just pick the one that you want and move on. But let's go ahead and jump into this unboxing. I will have everything linked and listed down below in the description box, as well as everything else that I use in today's video to complete my look. So per usual, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But let's go ahead and start pulling out our goodies. So first up, you're always going to get this little pamphlet in every single box. I'm almost saying bag because for some reason this month is coming in a bag, but it normally comes in a box. But you're going to get this little pamphlet in every single one, and it's just going to tell you the products that are in here, a little bit more detail on them, and how much they retail for. So very helpful, especially for someone like me, because that means I don't have to hunt and search for prices and products and all of that. Up first, we have the eyeshadow palettes, and this month's box is going to feature DD's Signature, and these are the two palettes that she's giving us to choose from. Unless, of course, you decide to pay the extra $10 to add on the second palette, which, like I said, I recommend personally if you don't have either of these in your collection and you like both of the color stories, because these palettes do retail for $35 a piece. Lucky for me, I don't have either of them in my collection, so I'm really excited to finally have them. But both of these are going to be 12-pan color stories, and I do want to note that they're both formulated color stories. So these are not brand new palettes to the brand. They're ones that she brought out in the past, but she's updated our formula and put them in this month's box. So the first one that we're going to have is going to be the Jingle Bell Ruby palette. And this one was last year's holiday release, and this is so beautiful. If this palette doesn't scream Christmas, I don't know what does. I'm loving the combinations of the green with this pop of red and then this really pretty purple quad over here. We've got 6 mattes, 6 shimmers. We do have this really pretty multi-chrome right here, which unfortunately mine did come smashed, as well as this shade right here. Not a big deal. I was able to press them back in, but I don't think that has anything to do with the quality of the palette itself. I really think it has to do with the fact that these came in like a bubble mailer this month instead of the typical box, so I just don't think they did very well in transit. But the next one that we have is going to be the Classic Autumn palette, and this one was, I believe, either last year's fall release or maybe it was one from years past, but this one is so beautiful. I love the color story. Again, you can see my mirror came smashed, probably due to the fact that it was just in a bubble mailer, but I love this color story. These are the tones that I'm gravitating towards right now, and I think it's a beautiful combination of like deeper, grungier shades. We have this really pretty black over here, and again, you have 6 mattes, 6 shimmers, and I'm really excited to play with this one as well. Up next from Cheeky Rose Beauty, we have the foundation brush. Now this one is going to retail for $38, and I did use this brush today to apply my foundation, but I just went ahead and did it off camera because I wanted to keep this video as short and sweet as possible. But this applied my foundation absolutely beautifully. It's nice and soft, it's dense, but it's not too dense to where it soaks up a lot of the product, but it just disperses it really nicely on the skin. It felt really good, and we'll see how it holds up as I continue to use it and wash it and things like that. But it's very comfortable in the hand. It's not heavy. It's very lightweight, and I think this is beautiful. I love this sort of rose gold color that it has going on. From Bo Babe Beauty, we have this liquid eyeshadow in the shade Chocolate Bronze. Now this is going to retail for $30, and personally, I'm not really a big fan of liquid eyeshadows. I find them to be a little finicky. They can be patchy, they can dry down too fast, and they always crease on me. I have very oily eyelids, and I've never come across a liquid eyeshadow that does not crease on me. But we're still gonna give it a shot anyway. But look at how gorgeous this component is. Like, that is so luxurious looking. It's 100% giving me Christian Louboutin vibes, and I'm not mad about it. But let's do a quick swatch on the back of the hand and see what the formula feels like and what the shade looks like. So it does have this really cool like brush tip applicator. It's going on very smoothly. It feels very liquidy, but it doesn't feel heavy or thick, and that is our beautiful shade. I can definitely see the whole chocolate bronze thing going on. This would make a beautiful liquid liner, so we might try it that way in one of our looks. From the brand LashStep, we have the Snatched Fiber Mascara, and this one is going to retail for $21. So this says it's designed to grab every single lash, and it's a fiber-infused mascara to build incredible length and volume without clumping. It's perfect for both everyday and special occasions, and it's sure to make your eyes pop. It says to wiggle the wand from the base of your lashes up to the tips to add volume and repeat for extra length. For even more impact, add a second coat once the first is dry. So if you've never used a fiber mascara before, it has like these little hair looking things in it, which are fibers that cling to your lashes to give you extra length and volume, ultimately acting as sort of a false lash, but without having to actually put false lashes on. Now personally, I've never had a great experience with them, not because they don't look beautiful, but because I have very watery and sensitive eyes, and if my eyes start to water, the fibers will kind of come off and get in my eyes and cause even more irritation. I also want to note that you are going to have to remove this with an eye makeup remover, a micellar water, or something like that. It's not going to come off in tubes like a regular tubing mascara would, but I'm open to giving it a shot. You never know. Every formula is different, but let's check out this wand in here. Okay, so that is our hourglass wand, and I don't know if you can see the little fibers on that brush, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. But let's go ahead and move on because we have one more product to go over. And last but not least, from the brand Lovebird Beauty, we have a tinted lip balm. This is in the shade Smooch. So let's open it up, do a little swatch in the hand. I will be putting this on my lips to see what the formula feels like, but that is our really pretty pink color. That is definitely a little bit more than a tint in my opinion, but let's put a little bit on my lips. The only thing I have on right now is just a little bit of a balm to kind of add some moisture back into my lips, but I'm gonna go ahead and apply this. This is actually really big. It's kind of a little awkward to apply, but let's see what it does. This feels very hydrating, very smooth. It definitely feels like it has an oil base to it, so it doesn't feel super waxy or anything like that. It has a smell to it, but I can't figure out what that smell is. It's not a bad smell. It's a very pleasant, sweet smell. Now, while that was very awkward to apply, I do think it looks very pretty on the lips. It feels very hydrating and very comfortable. So I'm gonna go ahead and wear this while we try everything else on the video, but I am gonna change my lip out at the very end. But let me go ahead and add up all the cost of the products in this box so I can give you the full retail value, and then we'll get into trying everything on. Alright y'all, so the full retail value of this box with the added on eyeshadow palette is going to be $169. So I did pay $35 for everything in here, so that means I got $134 worth of free product. Now if you were to not get the extra eyeshadow palette, this is going to have a value of $134, and then if you subtract the $25 that you paid, you're going to get $109 in free product. So the value is definitely there. I'm excited to try a lot of these out, so let's go ahead and get my hair out of my face, prime my eyes, zoom in, and start creating our looks. Alright y'all, so my eyes are primed with my MAC Paint Pot in the shade Painterly, and since we have two eyeshadow palettes to play with in this month's box, we're going to create a look with each one of them. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the Classic Autumn palette, and for this one, I don't really know what I'm going to do. I kind of want to stick to maybe like this little trio right here, something a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this shade right here, which is called Pumpkin, and I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Morphe M453 brush, and I'm going to start by kind of packing this into my crease, building up the pigmentation, the depth, the shape that I want, and then once I have this down and packed onto my lid, I can go back with sort of back and forth swiping motions and start to blend out those edges and soften it and make sure that it's not so harsh and we don't have any harsh lines. But that is going on really, really nicely. This is definitely going to be a little bit more on the buildable side as far as pigmentation goes, and it is building up really nicely. I'm not getting any patching, skipping, fallout, or anything like that. Let's go back and start to soften that edge just a little bit. All right, so next I'm gonna take the shade Beets, which is this deeper burgundy shade right here, and I'm gonna put this into my outer corner. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO6 brush, and I'm gonna start by pressing this right out here in my outer corner, bringing it up into the crease just a little bit, and I'm gonna bring it about 1/4 of the way over, so right about there. And then once I have the pigmentation built up in the way that I want it, I can go ahead and start softening the outer edges, blending it out, and creating that shape that I want. All right, so I want to deepen up the outer corner just a smidge before I move on to the lower lash line. So I'm going to go in with this black shade right here, which is called Black Tupelo, I think is how you pronounce that. And I'm going to pick that up with my Morphe M506 brush, and I'm just going to, very light-handed, just kind of press it right here in the very outer portion of my outer corner up here on my lid. I don't want it to take over the look. I don't want it to get away from me. So I'm just going to kind of press it where I want it, and once I had that shade down, I'm going to go in with back and forth wiggly motions to kind of disperse it and soften it just a little bit. And I am going to take that down onto the very outer portion of my lower lash line as well. So just right here in that little corner. For the rest of my lower lash line, I'm going to go into this purple shade right here, which is called Eggplant. Very fitting for the shade. And I'm going to pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO2 brush, and I'm just going to put this on the rest of the outer portion of my lower lash line, kind of lining it up with that shade that I have going on up on my lid. And I'm just going to kind of soften it out the best that I can, blending it over to the outer corner, and then just stopping right about there. And then I'm going to go back with that first shade that I used called Pumpkin, and just put it on the rest of my lower lash line. Alright, so my lid is primed with my NYX Glitter Primer, and for all over the lid, I want to start with this really pretty shade right here, this gold shimmer shade, which is called Apricots. So I am going to find my brush, which is somewhere around here, and I'm going to pick it up and apply it. Alright, so I found my BK Beauty 203 brush, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up that shade Apricots. I'm going to coat my brush really, really well. I'm going to spray it with some MAC Fix Plus, and I'm going to start by pressing this all over my lid, and I'm going to kind of bump it up to that matte shade right there. I am going to go in with another one to kind of blend everything together, but I want to bring this all the way over to the inner corner, but not in the inner corner. And then once I have that shade down, I can take my brush and sort of wiggle it in the crease and right along the lash line to make sure that it's nice and blended. Alright, so to blend that matte and that shimmer together, I'm going to go in with this red shimmer right here, which is called Fig. So I'm going to go in with my same brush that I just used. I'm just going to wipe it off really, really good. Pick up a little bit of that shade on my brush, and I'm going to pop this right on my lid where that matte and that shimmer shade come together, just to kind of blend everything and give a nice seamless transition from the matte to the shimmer. Oh, that is beautiful. I'm really loving what we've got going on. And last but not least, for the inner corner, I'm going to go in with this really pretty silver shimmer shade. We're going to throw in a little bit of a cool tone inner corner to go with this very warm leaning look. That shade is called Dragon Fruit. So I'm going to pick it up with a BK Beauty 207 brush. Once again, I'm going to spray it, and I'm just going to pop this right in the very inner corner of my lid. I'm not going to let it get too far away from me. I really just kind of want to dot it right there to give that extra little twinkle. That is really pretty. I do like that with these shades. Alright y'all, so this is what the look is looking like. I haven't thrown on mascara yet because we do have the one that came in this box to try on. So I'm going to do that at the same time as I do the other eye instead of going back and forth. But let me show you what I used to finish off this look and give you some of my thoughts. So I did go in with my ZC liquid liner to line my lid, and then in my lower waterline I went in with a Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liner. This is in the shade Gold Lame, and I think that this look turned out absolutely beautiful. I'm really liking the combination of the matte shades in here. I think they went on really nicely, but I will say that one kind of reddish shade that I put on my outer corner, which is called Beets, it didn't really want to stick in some spots. I kind of had to build it up a little bit more. It really wanted to grab into like my fold of my lid, but it did end up ultimately working and doing its job. And another thing that I want to note is while the shimmers in here do feel really creamy to the touch, I did find them to be a little difficult to pick up with a brush. I really kind of had to like push it in there and really really pack it on, so they might be a little hard pressed to pick up with a brush. So your best bet is probably going to go in with a finger, but it's not impossible to pick them up with a brush. I just kind of wanted to note that really quick. But let's go ahead and move on to our second palette. So we have the Jingle Bell Ruby palette, and I'm really excited about this one as well. And I think for this look, I definitely want to do something very green and maybe throw in a pop of red somehow. I haven't decided exactly how I want to incorporate it. I do feel like after getting a really good look at this, we probably could have benefited from like a more red shimmer in here, maybe a pink or something to kind of tie that red in a little bit better. But I think what I'm gonna do is, what do I want to do? I'm trying to decide how I want to do this. We're gonna go ahead and start with this shade right here because I want to put this on my inner corner. I'm sure the minute I opened up this palette, if you've been here and you've watched my videos, you knew that's exactly where that shade was gonna go. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that one up with this little brush right here. This is my BK Beauty 211 brush, and I'm just gonna put this in my inner corner. Sometimes I like to start in my inner corner, especially if I'm doing a fun, vibrant pop, but a lot of the times I'll start in here if I'm not really sure what I want to do. It kind of helps me to move from the inside working out. And that looks so beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's so vibrant. It's so perfect. It's like a Grinchy green, and I absolutely love it. All right, so I think what I've decided that I want to do is I want to leave that on the inner corner, and then I want to put this on the outer corner and sort of wrap it around onto my lower lash line, and then kind of build everything in between with these green shades right here, and just be really careful not to have them mud up with one another. So I'm going to go into this red shade, which is called Candy Cane, and I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with my Sigma E28 brush, and I'm just going to pack this on my outer corner, and I'm going to really focus on building up the pigmentation and the shape that I want. Now, when playing with reds, they can be a little finicky. I've said this before. If you want that true impact of the red, pack the shade on. Do not start to overblend, because if you start to overblend, it can start to look a little pinky, and it can start to kind of make you look a little sickly. So I know a lot of people don't like to use reds because they say it makes them look like they have pink eye or they're sick or something like that. You just have to be careful with how you put them on. So they can definitely be tricky, but if you play your cards right, they look beautiful. So I'm just packing this on right here, bringing it over about 1/3 of the way, and then I'm going to bring it down onto my lower lash line as well, lining it up with what I have going on the lid. All right, so I'm taking that same brush and I'm just very lightly going right along the edge of that red shade that I put down, and just kind of wiggling my brush just to soften it so we don't have a super harsh line and it looks very, what's the word that I'm looking for? It looks very outlined. I want it to be kind of soft and diffused. So I'm just gonna do that really quick and then we will move on. All right, so next I'm gonna go into this green shade right here. This one is called Noel Night, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick that up with my Sigma E54 brush, and I am very carefully and mindfully going to press this right here in this little gap between that red and that first green shade that we put down. I wanna be careful not to blend or start to kind of bring these colors too much together, because if you start to do that, they're 100% going to mud up and it will ruin the look. So I'm just going to take my time and press this shade where I want it, and once again, once I have it where I want it, I can go along the edge and start to kind of blur that line and blend it out a little bit more, but I'm just going to keep working with what I got. I'm going to take that same shade down onto my lower lash line as well, doing the same thing that I did up in my crease. So I'm just kind of packing and wiggling it in that little blank space, and when I get to that red, I'm just going to be very careful. Now I am going to go back with that red shade and just go over top of the green so it can kind of blend a little bit better. Still, I'm not going to do like wiggling and blending motions. I'm going to do more so packing motions. All right, so we're looking a little crazy, but we're gonna trust the process with this one. So I did go ahead and prime my lid with my NYX glitter primer per usual. And for all over the lid, we're gonna go into this really pretty multi-chrome right here. It has like this green to red flip to it, so it's really gonna kind of tie everything together. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that one up with a brush that's not caked in other shades. So let's go in with, where's a good one for this? We're gonna go in with this one. This is a Singe Beauty EO4 brush. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up that shade called Crispy Holidays. Now this is picking up a lot nicer than the shimmer shades did in the other palette, but this is one of the shades that kind of fell apart on me. So I think these might be a little bit softer than the other ones, but I'm gonna go ahead and spray my brush, and I am going to press this all over my lid. I'm going to overlap that red shade, and I'm going to bring it over to my inner corner. And once I have this shade down, I can start to kind of blend and wiggle and make sure that we don't have any harsh lines. All right, y'all, so this is the completed look with this palette, and I think this turned out so pretty. It is fun, it is festive, it is colorful, and I really like that multi-chrome all over the lid. It just kind of brought the entire look together, and it looks very smooth and reflective and sparkly. Now, I will say that the formula in this palette I found to be a little easier to work with. It was a little bit more pigmented. I didn't struggle as much trying to get the mattes to stick to my lid and build up on my outer corner, but with that being said, I like the Color Story in the Autumn palette better. It's just more my speed. It's a little bit more grounded, a little bit more neutral and grungy, but I do think that both of the palettes are absolutely beautiful, and if you get one or both of them, I don't think you'll be disappointed. Just be prepared that you might have to work just a little bit harder to build up the mattes in the Autumn palette. But let's go over what I used to finish up this look, because we need to go back and fix my eyeliner over here because I totally forgot to use the liquid eyeshadow. So I'm going to go over what I used to finish out this look, and then we're going to take this and go over my black liquid liner, and then we will jump into mascara. I know this is a little bit chaotic, but it's me, it is what it is. So in my lower waterline, I went in with an Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Liner. This is in the shade 0, and then again I lined with my ZC liquid liner. But let's go ahead and jump into this little guy right here. So I went ahead and pulled out an angled brush from Game Beauty. This is their E10 brush. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to kind of hold this just like so, and I'm going to pick up some on my brush and kind of treat this like a gel liner or something like that you would apply with a brush. I just think this is going to be a little too thick and chunky to do that. Obviously it's intended to go all over the lid, but we're going to use it as a liner. So I'm going to go ahead and just go right over top that black that I have down. This is nice and pigmented. It's going on very smooth. It's not grabbing. It doesn't seem to be drying down too fast where I can't manipulate it, but we'll see what happens when I try and make a wing. All right, so this is what the liner looks like. Keep in mind, I am not the queen of the wing liner. It's very hit or miss as to whether or not I get it right, but I will say it was very easy to work with. It didn't dry down super fast. I did have enough time to manipulate it, and we'll see how it wears, see if it's gonna wear off as my eyes water and things like that. But let's go ahead and curl my lashes so we can jump into this mascara, because I'm really curious to see how that's going to wear. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start over here, and I'm gonna wiggle at the base and move my way up. Now this is a very fibery mascara. I could tell when I pulled it out that the fibers were just kind of there. They were very prominent up front and center. So we'll see how this applies. So far that's going on really nicely. I definitely think I have a little bit of lengthening going on, but it's not giving me as much volume as I wanted it to give me. I'm also not a big fan of this hourglass style wand. It's very chunky. I have tiny little eyes, so I'm having sort of a hard time getting into this inner corner over here, but I'm gonna go ahead and apply a coat on my other eye, and by that time the first eye should be dry so we can go back in with our second coat. All right, so we're going back in with a second coat on the first eye, and I can tell you right now I'm not gonna like this mascara because I can already feel the fibers kind of coming off the brush and going into my eyes. So if my eyes start to water, I apologize, but I'm definitely gonna have to wash this off as soon as I'm done because it's already, like I said, irritating my eyes, and that's what we're looking like with second coat. So it's definitely giving a little bit of length, but I'm still not seeing a lot of volume with this one. I will continue to play around with it and stuff, but first impression, I'm just not really impressed with this mascara. Alright y'all, so this is going to be our 2 completed looks using all of the products in this month's Eyescream beauty box. I do want to note I did switch out the lip combo. I went in with a P. Louise lip liner in the shade Small Talk, and from my lipstick, it's one of these CXC Pro Sculpt cream lipsticks. This is in the shade Dancing Flame, and I just think it looks beautiful. It kind of ties both of the looks together. It's a really pretty orange-based red shade. But as far as this box goes as a whole, I wouldn't say I'm overly enthusiastic about it. Yes, the products are nice, but they're not really things that I gravitate towards or that I'm really excited about. But let's go ahead and run through them individually. So first of all, I do think that the foundation brush is really nice. I think it worked really well. I do think it's a little bit of an oddball to throw in here, but I do love a good foundation brush, and I'm always excited to discover new ones. So this was a really good one from the box. The tinted lip balm, this was okay. I found it to be very big and chunky to be putting on your lips, especially if you don't have a mirror or something like that readily available in front of you. The formula was very nice. It was very comfortable. It did have a good little amount of tint to it, and it felt very creamy and, like I said, oily based on the lips, so nice and hydrating. But again, I feel like it could have been a little bit smaller for ease of application. Now, as far as the liquid eyeshadow goes, surprisingly, I actually liked this. I thought it went on very nicely. I like the pigmentation that it has. I do want to try this out as an all over liquid eyeshadow, see how it's going to hold up, see how it's going to perform, if it's going to kind of thin out or if it's going to build up on itself really nicely. The mascara, I am not a fan of based off of first impression. Like I said, I can already feel the fibers going into my eyes. It is really starting to bother me, so I apologize if I'm kind of hurrying up trying to get through this. I really want to take this off my eyes. But aside from that, it also didn't give me a whole lot of really anything to my lashes. I don't see a whole lot of volume. I don't see a whole lot of length. I'm not one to go in with a false lash because I do have very sensitive eyes, and I just don't like the way that false lashes sit. But I have other mascaras in my collection that I have tried that give me a little bit more something without that added fiber to get into my eyes. I feel like I'm getting all jumbled up because my eyes are really starting to burn just a little bit. But lastly, let's talk about the eyeshadow palette. So I do really enjoy Dede's Signature. I have 3 of her other palettes in my collection. I have the Ultimate Cappuccino palette, which was the first one that I ever tried, and I love that palette. It's absolutely beautiful. I have her All Matte palette and her All Shimmer palette. And as far as the formula and these go, I do think that they're different from the ones that I have, but I don't know if I would necessarily say it's an improved formula. It's not a bad formula. I just like the formula that I have in those palettes better, and I don't know if it's supposed to be the same formula or if this is supposed to be the newer formula compared to those. I never tried her most recent collection that she came out with, which was several other little palettes. I never picked that one up, but I do think the color stories in both of these are beautiful. I find that this one, the autumn one, is a little easier to work with. It's a little user friendly. I think the color story itself is going to gravitate towards more people, but with that being said, I did find the matte formula in here to be just a little bit more finicky. I didn't have any issues with fallout. I just had to work a little harder to kind of build up the pigmentation on my eyes, and the shimmers in here are a little bit more hard pressed, so they were a little harder to pick up with my brush. Not impossible, as you saw. They still look absolutely beautiful on the lid, but it's just something that I want to point out. Now, as far as the Jingle Bell Ruby palette goes, I like the formula in this one better. I found it to be a little easier to work with. It was a little bit more pigmented, and the shimmer in here that I used, which was just the one right here, was a little softer and it picked up a little bit easier. But the color story in here, as excited as I was, it is a little disappointing disconnected to me once I got into it and really started to kind of get my brain flowing and figure out what I wanted to do. I feel like unless you do a monochromatic green look or even like a purple and red look, you're going to get something very Christmassy on your eye. Even if you do the purple and the green, it can still look a little Christmassy. So just kind of something to note. I do think the formula in here, like I said, is absolutely beautiful, and I would like to pair this palette with other ones in my collection, but overall, this just wasn't my favorite box from the brand. There's other ones that I have really enjoyed in the past, and this was the first one that I have to admit that just didn't really do it for me. But that is going to complete this video. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. I want to know if you're subscribed to this box, if you got this one, which palette did you get, what are your thoughts on this month's box? I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation, light up that comment section, and as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel, because I do post quite a few videos every single week and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.